What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Tribe of Runners podcast. I'm your host, Liz Myers, and today I have a guest who, believe it or not, reached out and was like, I love your podcast, which is funny and hilarious at the same time. And then we chatted. She was getting ready to race her first ultra, and we chatted a whole bunch about it. And eventually she finished it and was like, I'd love to chat about this race. And I was like, 100%. So sadly, I got really sick. We miscommunicated. It's probably 100% my fault. So this should have happened a couple weeks ago. So Amy, I truly apologize. But thankfully we got it all situated. And today we get to chat with Amy Hoyt, who is going to talk to us all about ultra running and how she got into it and the amazing job that she did at her first ultra.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm very excited to have you on. I know I don't know too much about you, and you probably know way more about me. So, outside of running, tell us a little about yourself and, try not to talk about running during this part, just about you and your
Okay.
personal life.
Okay. All right. So I'm a wife and a mom. My son is 16. He's a junior in a biomed program at a local high school. He's also a musician. So we're super busy, drums, saxophones, you name it. He's doing it. My husband he works as an industrial hygienist, and that's actually how we met. We worked together on post for the DoD. And then once I had my son, I was a stay-home mom, and then he went off to kindergarten, and I was bored. So I didn't want to go back to what I was doing. And someone said, well, why don't you substitute teach at his school, and then you can have the same schedule, that kind of stuff. So I did, and I fell in love with teaching. And it was with kindergartners, which is where I thought I would end up. But my degree lined me up as a biology teacher. So I teach seventh grade, which is a very unique time in an adolescent's life. It's a roller coaster every day. They say the darndest things. That show was around for a reason. So I've been doing that for 4 years, and it's nice because I get summers off with my son. He sails in the summer, so I paddleboard all summer, and we just living the life, starting to look at colleges and all that stuff.
Very cool. That's super exciting. I have an eighth grader, so I know exactly what you mean. He says some of the things, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And he also thinks he's 30. I'm sure you experienced that too,
Yeah.
where, I give it to you for teaching that age, but that's awesome. And I love that you're a teacher and that everything's worked out and you paddleboard. So that's super, super cool.
Yeah.
So tell us how you ventured into ultra running and where that came about, or running in general. We'll start with, the beginning.
So I really wasn't a runner. I played soccer, from little kid in rec up through high school for 1 year, and I decided I'd had enough. And that spring, or it might have been the next year, I joined the spring track team, and I was really good at short distances. I was always like the shortest sprinter, the shortest relay person. I did shot put and discus, which was weird because I was maybe 80 pounds in high school and just a little over 5 feet tall. So, trying to chuck that ball across was not easy. I wasn't tall enough for hurdles. So, so I ran a track, and my shins always hurt, and my Coach Joe, he would always tape up my feet. I don't know why. He said I'd falling arches or whatever. So he would tape up my feet, and, I wore horrible shoes, all that kind of stuff. And then when I graduated high school, I didn't really continue with any sports in college or anything. Every now and then, I go into the gym and lift weights and stuff. And then once I got married to my husband, we did the occasional 5K. And every time I did the Couch to 5K free training program, I would get through the 5K. My shins were destroyed, and I would stop running. So then he said, why don't you try biking? He said, I did the Seagull Century, which is this 100-mile bike ride on the Eastern Shore out of Salisbury University. He's like, why don't you try something like that? So he got me a road bike, and I ventured into the world of distance cycling, and I loved it. It was it was so much fun. Did a lot of metrics, did the Century ride. 9 hours on a bike is that's like makes for a very painful couple days.
Oh yeah.
but but it just like it rained every time. Every single bike event, it rained, and it's so much setup. Like you don't just go out for a ride when you're training to do distance cycling. You are gone for hours because you've got to get somewhere, and even all the bike rides, like you've got to go somewhere, you've got the bike you've got to take somewhere, you're lugging it up into the hotel room, and because you're not going to leave a $2,000 bike sitting on the back of your car.
Absolutely.
And it literally rained every single time. And so I did this one a couple years ago with some girlfriends, and it was a metric, and we had rented an Airbnb, and we get down there, and all of a sudden the forecast changes from like sunny skies in the 50s, and now they're saying it's going to be rainy, it's going to be windy, it's going to be a little bit colder. So I go to a Walmart, like trying to find anything I can to help keep me warm. We head out the next morning. The first 15 miles were okay. It was like windy, but it wasn't too bad. So I stripped off my bike pants and had just my shorts on. Everything was fine. As soon as I did that, the skies just opened and it started pouring. So this was mile 18 to 20. We hit the next aid station at mile 25, and the temperatures have plummeted. It is now like 40 degrees. It is sideways rain and winds at a steady 20 and gusting up at like 30 and 35. And on the Eastern Shore, it's flat. It's like below sea level. So you're just trying to stay upright. And I said to them, I'm like, I can't stay in this aid station. I got to go. Like, I got to move. I've got to go. So by the end of that ride, I was pushing my knees to just finish pedaling. My one friend ended up not even finishing. She fell off the bike with hypothermia.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I got done at like 12, and I didn't warm up until 6 that night. Like I had a hot shower, we had pizza, we had tea. We were all like, the three of us were just cuddled under blankets. We binge watched reindeer games on Netflix. We just we ordered delivery pizza. Like we did not want to move from the warmth of everything. And I was like, that's it. I told my husband, I said, I'm done. It's always rainy and cold. And he's like, well, why don't you try running? I said, okay, I guess I'll try it again. And at that point, I had been strength training for about probably 3 years.
Okay.
Because after COVID hit, I kind of stopped with the bike, gained a lot of weight from, sitting around with COVID, and joined up with Beachbody and kind of got myself rolling with that. And then I hooked up with Steph Godreau. She's strength and nutrition, and she is fantastic. So once she opened up a weightlifting platform, I signed up for that. I've been with her over 3 years now.
Very
and cool. I think that made the biggest difference. So I started out with like a 5K, and then a 10K, and then a half marathon. Oh no, I did a 10 miler, did the Army 10 miler, because my husband was like, you should do the Army 10 miler. I did it. I'm like, all right, well, you told me to do the bike ride because you had done it. And now you're gonna tell me to do the 10 miler because you had done it. So, all right, we'll do the 10 miler. And it was super cool. It was an anniversary one in DC. So it was like so much fun to run and see all of the sites in DC. There was like 35,000 people running. Wow. The first guy finished before my wave even left.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was insanely fast too, but like, it was that many people. There were 10 waves, and there were, literally thousands of us in each wave. But it was super cool. And I got done with that, and I, did the little selfie to my husband. He's like, you look so fresh. You should go do a half. So I was like, okay. So I signed up for a half, and I did that just like a month after that. So this all started in April. And by that November, I was running my first half marathon. So it ramped up very quickly. And I really, really liked it. And someone invited me out on a trail run. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I love to hike. My husband and I got married in a national park. Like, that's our thing. We love to hike. So I'll try it. And I fell in love. And I was like, that's it. I like I don't even want to go do a marathon because I don't want to be on the road. I'm just going to go straight to a 50K. And everybody was like, you're crazy. No, nobody does that. I'm like, yes, they do. I see it all the time. And as I've gotten like into listening to podcasts and watching people, I'm like, people go from 0 to, 200 milers or whatever. So, so I joined the world of crazies and did my first trail race that February. And that was a half marathon and really liked it. So I was training for this ultra called Houpt, which is the Hint Anderson Trail Run at Susquehanna State Park in Maryland. And it is gnarly. I don't know why like more of the people don't come out that want to test themselves. Maryland trails are really tough. I don't know if you've ever run up here, but it's rocks and it's roots. That's all there is. So it's really, really tough terrain. And although we're on the East Coast, we still have a decent amount of elevation. It's not sure. Mountains here where I am. I'm just north of Baltimore, but there's still enough where you get decent elevation. So someone had said, you ought to go out for Houpt, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. And it is not a beginner's 50K. It's not even a well-seasoned 50K. Like, it is legit hard, and it's an insane cutoff time, especially for something as technical as it is, and with the elevation. I think it's around 7,000 elevation in a 50K.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, and it's all rocks and roots. And turns, and it's in March, so it could be snowy, it could be monsoon, it could be in the 80s. Like in Maryland, we never know what we're going to get. So, but it's 20 minutes from my house, the state park. So I was like, that's perfect. I can train like on the course, all that kind of stuff. So I did. I was registered for a 5-hour, which was going to give me kind of like my tune-up race or whatever for Houpt, just kind of give me, it was a looped course, 5.5 miles. So I knew I'd go in and out of aid stations. I could just kind of see how everything worked. Then they canceled it for snow. And my coach was like, well, do you have a place you could go and do something similar and just self-support? So I could up at the park where the Houpt run was. It was the same distance, and I just self-supported out of the trunk of my car. I had friends deliver donuts. I had a friend bring some hot tea and Tums when I texted her. So it was great. I set up my ramen noodle in a thermos because it was February, so it was really cold. And I did it. I did like 17 miles in 5 hours. And so I was like, all right, great. I earned the medal that they gave me for the canceled race. I told my coach, I'm like, I feel really, really good. I want to go run one loop of the course next weekend. And I was supposed to kind of be like a deload because of having done the 5-hour. And she's like, if you're really sure you're feeling good, go ahead. So I did. And I went out with a friend of a friend. So I'd only run with this guy like one time, but he knew the course in and out. And, so we're going and we're about 9 miles in. We've just done the hardest climb. Everything's beautiful. And I'm just kind of like pretty flat, just coasting along. And I put my foot down and I heard and felt a pop in my calf. And I went, oh, shit.
No.
I was like, this really hurts. What is it? I had no clue what it was, none at all. And so I told Brian, I'm like, something's not right. I've tried to run and I just couldn't. And he's like, all right, let's stretch it out. So we're stretching out. And he's like, is it okay if I massage? And I'm like, sure, go ahead. I'm like, I don't really even know you, but rub my leg in the woods, whatever.
Yes. The typical ultra.
It's like immediately friends, right?
Yep.
And so the friend that knew him was meeting us like a mile later, doing an aid station, and she had grilled cheese and chicken noodle soup for us. And so I knew I didn't have far to go before I got to her. And he's like, all right, let's get out of this little bit of a climb. We got a little bit uphill here, and then we're going to enter an open field. I want you to try and run. Any pain, stop. I got like 1 step, 2 steps in, and immediately was like, nope, I'm not going to run. I think he knew what it was, but he wasn't going to tell me. So my friend was there, I just kind of like limped out walking to her car and ate a grilled cheese sandwich. And I was like, I can't finish this, which really sucked because the rest of the run was all trail that I hadn't been on yet. That was the part like I was really, really looking forward to like, so I knew the whole course. Because in my mind, I'm like, I'm still going to run this a month from now, I'm still going to be in this race, whatever. And so that was a Saturday. Monday, I had gone to the hand doctor for just a post-op on a surgery. And I told him what happened. And he's like, stay right here. And he brought in one of the lower extremity orthos for me. And he immediately put me in a boot, ordered MRI, which came back as a grade 2 calf tear.
I was going to say calf tear, but oh no.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. So like, I'll, still be able to run.
Spoken like a true ultra runner.
It's like, when is your race? I said, in a month. He goes, we'll talk about it. Then when the results came in and he called me and he's like, yeah, he's like, you're going to be in the boot for, 2 weeks. You've done 1 week, you've got another week. He was like, and then you're not going to PT for 6 weeks. And I was like, crap, there goes that race. And there goes all these other ones, so canceled that, ended up volunteering,
Very cool.
which was amazing. Like, I don't even think I'm going to run at it again this spring. I think I'm going to volunteer just because I had so much fun. Like, my favorite part was when the runners would come in and I would ask them if they wanted a Coke. The look on their face. And I hadn't done my ultra yet, so I didn't really understand like what that meant, but they were just like so stoked to get this Coca-Cola.
Yes.
So I was like the Coke lady,
But now you understand.
Yes.
Coca-Cola is like black magic out there.
Yeah. Now I do. So, but it's a great event. I know the race director. He's a friend of my husband's, and they've got all the goodies, the tater tots, pierogies, bacon, everything. And it's a really well put on run, jambalaya at the end and stuff. So it's, even if you're just volunteering, it still was just a fantastic experience. I really enjoyed it. So I, did some PT. By May, I was able to start running. They put me on a Delaware Return to Run track program, which highly recommend for anybody coming back to running from any injury, because it's nice and flat, and it's just a nice way to ease back in. So I did that, and of course, while I was still in the boot, I think I registered for my next 50K, which was. So I was determined to get this. And I thought, I'm also going to register for a marathon on the road, because when I looked at the training plan, I needed to do that distance or roughly that time, like in there. And I was like, so I might as well just do it, so I've got support and everything. I was going to do the Baltimore one, which is really hilly. But I figured it's my hometown, why not do it? So I registered for both of those, and did a couple races, did a super fun one over the summer called Stumpy's Revenge. And you have to take a quiz to get in.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's the quiz? Can you tell us?
He asked you these like trigonometry questions and chemistry questions. It's crazy hard. I didn't know any of the answers. And so it's like 4 questions, and I take it, send it out, and the results come back. They're like, you are an epic loser. You don't know anything. Just like trash talking you, right? And so I called a friend. I'm like, you got to register for this race. Like, this quiz is insane. And then at the end, it says you have 4 choices. You can come run it anyhow because you failed this test so miserably. You might as well do something with your time. You can bandit the race. You could bring the race director a case of beer, or you can try your luck again next year. So you were in anyhow, it was just like this fun way, which leads into the race. So I opted for the half marathon course. All the courses have 3 water crossings. The first one is listed as ankle deep. It was not. The next one's listed as knee deep. It was not. And the last one is listed as a full swim. It was.
Oh my goodness. It was. Okay.
So it had rained a lot, so they were all deeper than what was said. He makes these jokes about like there's going to be spiders and snakes on the trail and probably some alligators in the water. Well, we don't have alligators up here, right?
Okay.
So
I was going to say, what?
So it's July. I mean, we're nothing like Florida where you are, but Maryland, July, like the humidity is disgusting. So went out anyhow, just because I thought this is just so fun. And so I'm running with this family and this little boy, and he's like, look out. And there's these like toy snakes on the trail.
Oh my goodness.
Then there's this climb where you come up out of a ravine, and where you have to, there's only one place to put your hand, and there's a giant plastic tarantula, which, you're just moving along, not thinking about what he has staged for you. So, immediately I'm like, jump or whatever. And I like leading up to this, I know I want to put in for the Barkley Fall Classic at some point. So I was like, oh, this is my little taste of it, which I know it's not, but still, I had it in my mind. Like,
yes.
And then he's got like, so at each turn, he's got stories you can, none of them are going to be good outcomes kind of thing. You can go off course and do this Briar ravine down to the bottom. And then that's where you get to the swim crossing. They legit had a rope so that you could guide yourself along the river to get across to the other side. They had a life raft thing that they could toss out, but there was no one there to man it. They I turned to my left and saw the giant alligator. So he had this like full-size plastic crocodile alligator or whatever anchored in the river. It was so much fun. And I just like I don't know, it just seems like so many of the trail things I go out to, they're just fun. Like I've done a bunch of races and there's just nothing has been quite as silly as that, but just like the food there, the aid stations, like everybody waiting to cheer you at the end, like even though they've been finished for, hours or whatever. I liked the vibe. It didn't seem as much pressure. As a road race. I'm a new runner. I'm not fast by any means. So the trail just gives me that liberty to just be what I want to be out there. Run when I want to run, walk when I want to walk, eat, my vest has become like my best friend. I feel like I take it even on a 5K just because it's like part of my ensemble,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I started, just like really gearing up towards the end of the summer for the 50K, and the training got brutal with the school year. Starting out the school year was hard to train for it, and then I guess about 2 weeks before the marathon, my IT band blew up on a run. I was doing the training run at the course. That's where I was. So I got about 6 miles into it, and I was supposed to do 20. And I could barely walk out. And I was like, crap, not again. Like, I can't. I was in tears. I was calling friends while I was out there. And I was like, this can't be happening to me again. And I had one friend, Jess, she like pretty much talked me all the way off of the course. And so I got an ice pack right away, did all the things, went to PT, dropped my marathon down to a half. And my goal was if I could finish that, if I could cross the finish line without any pain, then I knew I'd be okay for my ultra. And they like really went seriously with PT. And so that went fine. It was awesome running in Baltimore. I have done tons of races down there. It's the greatest vibe ever. It's just everyone shows up for you. On the marathon, half marathon course, little kids are running out with gummy bears and water. And then there's people with the beer aid stations and the whiskey aid stations. I don't know how people do that when they're running.
Me either.
Just give me the water and gummy bears.
Yes.
Give me all of those. So, so then I like that was fine. So I was like, all right, I've got this. And, so I was ready. And, so it was Rosaryville State Park, Veterans Day Ultra, and then a 20K and a 50K. And, so I was going out, there was nobody going with me. It just like the way the chips fell, there was no one that could go out there. There were a few runners from my club that were doing the 20K. So I had a drop bag, I like went through all that. I've got this one friend who's done tons of ultras, and, I was calling her and texting her. She had just finished one. So she was like, giving me the rundown on hers and how we could do all this. And, so then she called me Friday night before the race. Well, I'd gotten in the mail these 2 bracelets that she had made for me, these bead ones. And one of them said onward, and the other one said do epic shit. And they were for my race day. And then she calls me and she was like, how are you feeling? I said, yeah, okay. Like, I really didn't feel nervous. Like, I don't know. I don't want to say I was numb, but like, I was just going through the process. I had everything laid out on the table. I had baggies for like at the drop station, when I would go to my bag, like I could just grab that bag and I could go, because I really didn't want to spend a lot of time. That was my goal, was to really not spend time in aid stations and just have what I needed, because it was an 8-hour cutoff. And I knew that for a first time runner on rolling hills, that was tight, for me. So, so she says, how would you like for me and Carrie to come out and pace you? Because it was one of those weird 50Ks where they allowed a pacer on the last loop. So it was a 10-ish mile loop that you did 3 times. And, I just started crying. I was like, I would love that. I would really like, just the fact that someone was going to be out there at all, like, meant the world. And then to know that they were going to come out and pace. And especially because 2 weeks after that, I knew she had JFK.
Oh my goodness.
So I was like, and she had just done a 50K, all this. So I was like, all right. So, we talked about like the logistics and all of that. So she and her wife, Carrie, were going to meet me out there, pick me up for the 3rd loop, and away we would go. Got there, got all my stuff, had my snacks, we had 1 porta potty. That I was in line for.
Oh, yes.
Like, listened to the pre-race, like, got everything, and I was good to go. I didn't feel nervous. I went out a little heavy on the first mile because it's just a little bit of field and then road to get you down to the trails. And I knew I was at my road pace, so like I wasn't really too worried about it. But I backed it down a little bit when I got to the trails, and I was pretty much solo the whole time. Like, and I said to myself, this is me. I know what pace I need to be to finish this, and I'm not going to worry about trying to keep up with anybody else. Like, I've got my music, I have spare earbuds, like, it's fine. I'm just going to do my thing. So I'm rolling through the first loop, get to the first aid station. There's 2 of them. Get to the first aid station. The guy's like, oh my God, I love all your tattoos. You can't see them, but I have a full sleeve of birds. Anyhow, he, he's like, yeah, you have the best tattoo, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, what do you need? What do you, and I'm like, I'm good with everything. I'm just going to grab a pierogi and some pretzels. So I grabbed those and took off. I didn't want to hang around. My first loop went like fabulous. No problems whatsoever. Texted my friend Heidi how things were going. Get into the second loop, and I just started not feeling great. Like, I don't know if it was the pierogi, which I've never eaten. Like, I was trying to make sure I just did what I had tested. And I had a friend tell me, she was like, you'll be fine in all of your race distances, because what makes people crash is their nutrition, and you have your nutrition nailed. So I was really surprised. Like, I couldn't figure out why I wasn't feeling great. I felt like I was drinking. I had tailwind in my flask. I had water on my back. Like, and the only thing I could think of was that maybe I ate too much to start. And like, just my excitement of making sure that I was fueled. Maybe I just had too much, and then it was catching up to me. So I texted Heidi, and I'm like, I'm slowing down on the second loop. I'm going to do my best, but I don't know that I'm going to make it. You had to make it through the drop bag, which was 4 miles into the loop by, I want to say it was 1:30.
Okay.
And so I'm keeping out. She was like, just keep forward, just keep going. We'll be there. Like, we're almost there, all that kind of stuff. Just lots of positive talk. And then I go into one of the aid stations and I texted her and I'm like, I'm not going to make the cutoff. Like, I can tell you right now, because of what time it is, like, I'm not going to make it. And she was like, it is just 2 teenagers here. They're not paying any attention. They don't even know what time it is. Just keep coming. So I'm like, all right. Yeah. So I'm going and going and I'm fine. Like, that loop, I really didn't eat much because I don't know what it was. And then I started getting chills. And I'm like, why am I getting chills? Because it was a pretty warm day. It was like 75 degrees. And so she texts me. She was like, I'm coming to you. I said, okay. And when she got to me, she said, I can't pace you, but I can be out here. So I just have to make sure that I'm not pacing you. I'm like, Heidi, I don't even know what that means. At this point, I'm just like, I honestly didn't even really know what it meant for someone to be a pacer. Because I wasn't planning on having one. So I never really put it into, I'm just like, I just thought they just run along with you. Like, I didn't understand the whole thing behind it. And so she starts telling me, and I honestly don't even remember anything she said. And she's like, it's okay. Carrie's talked to the race director. Like, they're going to talk to you when we come in and, they'll make their decision. And I'm like, okay. So we get in there and he's like, do you think you can make it to the next aid station? I said, oh, I definitely can. I said, but I'm telling you, I'm slowing down. I said, I'm probably at like a 16-minute mile right now. And, that's just where I am. He was like, well, I'll tell you what, go see what you can do. If they tell you that's it at the next aid station, then someone will bring you back to the start line. And I said, okay, let's go. So they're, while I'm talking to him, they're like stuffing my pockets and my friend's putting all my food in her bag. And she was like, let's just go. And so we started out and I told them what was happening, that I was like feeling these chills and that I wasn't sweating anymore. And I didn't even put it together that I was dehydrated because I thought that I was drinking enough. And they're like, Amy, it is 75 degrees out today. That's hot. That's really that's pretty warm. You're dehydrated. So they started giving me salt tabs, kept giving me cues, to drink or to eat, that kind of stuff. And by mile, I guess by mile 22, I perked up. So whatever they were doing worked. So we got to the aid station and, the second time I had run through this aid station, he had told me I won the award for the best tattoos. So I see him again. We're coming in. I'm like, oh, I love this guy, blah, blah, blah. I've only talked to him twice, but suddenly we're best friends, right? And I said to him, I grabbed a banana and something. And I'm like, did I make the cutoff? He was like, girl, I told him you already came through here, so you got to go.
Oh, yes.
So
I love it.
I said, okay, all right. And so when we got out of the aid station, I grabbed a few things and we got out of the aid station. And I told my friends, I'm like, I need to lube. I'm getting some chafing on the back of my arms. And I need to pee. I haven't peed since 10 o'clock and now we're at almost 3. And I still couldn't pee. So I was like, all right, I'm just not going to worry about it. I can't let this bother me. I'm not dying. So let's just keep going. So they were great. Heidi ran behind me the whole time, just chatting away. Cause I told her, I'm like, just keep talking to me. And then her wife, Carrie, was up in front and she's a retired lieutenant colonel. And she was like a freaking drill sergeant out there. She would point to a tree and she'd be like, you're going to run, So then I'm running. She would point to a tree. She was like, now you're going to walk. And that was how I finished. That's awesome. She just kept that for me. And because I was so distracted with Heidi talking to me, and Heidi said, I was even I was laughing and I was talking. I have no memory of it really whatsoever.
It's all blurred.
Yeah, I know. We blew past the marathon point and she was like, you just got your marathon. I was like, really? everything was feeling good and all that kind of stuff. So like mile 22 to mile 29, like things were really good. And mile 29, that was right after we got to the aid station. And I saw the last aid station. I saw that they had taken up the timing mat. And I was like, crap, they're going to pull me. And I said, I don't care what they do. They can take my bib. They can tell me that I'm done, but I'm going to finish this.
Mm-hmm.
They can't take me off this course. The sun's not down. It's a state park. They can't stop me from running. They can take my bib. They can't stop me from running.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to finish it. And I said, I don't care if I'm a DNF on ultra sign up. I don't care. I don't have to get the finisher prize. I just want to do it. Mm-hmm. And so I roll into the aid station, and the woman's like, well, technically we would take your bib. Like, they got me some soda and all this kind of stuff. And I said, that's fine. I said, but I need to finish this. She said, I totally understand. And I've been where you've been. There's no race director here. So go. Mm. And so I did. And that was like mile 29. And that was when I hit like the pain. Mm-hmm. It was the last 3 miles, I guess is what it was. 3-ish, almost 4 miles was so painful. Like, my knee hurt. I was getting this like horrendous pain on the outside of my ankle where my shoe was hitting. I thought like it was probably just raw and bleeding, but I didn't want to stop and do anything. So I was afraid I wouldn't keep going. So I was like, well, if it's a mess, it's a mess. Like, we'll just deal with the aftermath later. And so Heidi said, I have to tell you that the finish line is uphill. We're almost there. She waited until like we were almost there. You had to cut out of the woods where the drop bags were. She was like, and it's through a grassy field that they didn't mow. Like, great.
Oh my goodness.
Always. The finish line's always uphill. Yeah. So I was like, I'm still going to run. Like, it might be slow. It might not look like a run to anybody else, but I'll just still do it. And as they started to get up there, they had the like race arch was gone, but they still had the timing clock up running. Oh. And so I finished 8 hours and 38 minutes. And I thanked everybody there. Like, the whole party was gone because they had like bonfires and burgers, and everybody was gone. They were packing stuff up into the U-Haul, and they got me a ginger ale and I don't know, a couple other things. I went over to the race director and I said, look, I just really appreciate that you let me finish this. I said, I understand, but like, it's tough because you guys have insurance, all that kind of stuff. I know you've been here for a long time, but this was my first 50K and I just wanted to finish. So I really appreciate that. And he said, this is your first one? I was like, yeah. He goes, then you're getting the finisher prize.
Oh, that's awesome.
So like, I can't say enough about that race. It's a small one. There were originally 100 people signed up for the 50K and 100 for the 20K. Only 60 ran the 50K. There were some people that dropped down and some people that dropped out totally. So it was a really small race. Like, it wasn't, it wasn't crazy numbers like what I was used to on the road. And even some of like the smaller trail runs have had a lot more people. But that just, his name was Justin. Rosaryville was just the best. It's a great beginner 50K and such a great race director.
Yeah, that's awesome. It really doesn't take much. It sounds so horrible to say, but at the end of the day, like, completely made your entire year.
Oh, yeah.
Allowing you to, do that, which is so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I talked to it was about an hour and a half drive for me. So I knew I'd be tired on the way home. So, I've called several people and like ran through the whole race thing and all that kind of stuff. And it just like, I walked into my house like I was hot shit.
Yes.
Like, and just for like several days, it was just like, did I do that? Did I really just do that? Like, did I really run 32 miles?
You did. Like, yes.
It's like, that's just insane.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So when so my principal put a big shout out email that went out to everybody with my picture. And for my kids, their warm up was, what did Mrs. Houpt do over the weekend? And I had my picture up there next to the timing clock. And they're like, is that 8 minutes? I'm like, no. that was over 8 hours. They're like,
Oh
how
my.
far? I had told them, but they just couldn't, they didn't understand it. And so
Mhm.
like I tried to explain to them, like, imagine running here to Baltimore and back. And they're like, what?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That
So
is
I'm
so amazing.
officially the craziest person at work.
Yes, 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 yes. You've officially joined the Crazy Club, which
Yeah.
I know you said earlier, but it's so true.
Yeah.
And what an amazing story. You have gone through quite a bit and you're just starting out, which is
Yep.
awesome. I hate that you've gone through so much, but you've learned very quickly and you've adjusted and done all the things that well driven, crazy ultra runner would do, which is awesome. Nothing's held you back. You've persevered and you've come through so many things like the torn calf. Oh my goodness. But what would you say was your biggest takeaway with your first 50K?
Um, just to never give up. It's there were not even during the race, but just all the stuff leading up, right? Like it was hard. I spent, so many months training, and then to have, one step, just then it was gone. But like
Mhm.
the training wasn't gone, but that moment. So I think like knowing that it's more than just the moment, um, because that taught me a lesson to listen to your coach. Right? I mean, even though she said, sure, go ahead, I'm sure in her head, she was probably thinking, like, this might not, like, there's a reason they write a plan the way that they do. So, she let me listen to my body. And, I don't know, maybe, like, who knows? Maybe if I hadn't done a certain climb, it wouldn't have happened. I have no,
Mhm.
like, you just have no idea. Um, but I didn't let that stop me, right? So I did the PT, I did the things that I had to do. I hated it. I swam, I biked, and then I slowly built back up, and I didn't let it stop me from my ultimate goal.
Mhm.
Because I really wanted, I didn't care about a medal. This race didn't even have a medal. Like I had to pay for the t-shirt. So like there was, this wasn't about any sort of prize, but I wanted to see, could I do it?
Mhm.
I'm 51. I feel like I have so much time that I missed being able to do all this stuff that like I want to do it now. So I do want to push myself to get the stuff done. But you have to realize it comes with a price, and just listen to your training plan and just keep plugging away. Like, and it's hard. The days are long on a Saturday when you're out there for 5 hours running. It's
Mhm.
hot or it's cold, it's rainy, it's snowy, there's ice. Like it's, it's tough, but that's what you have to do. So you just keep plugging away. And I kind of also, I think a big takeaway too is that I learned it's more than just the moment. So it's more than just the moment on the finish line. It's more than just one run. It's all of them. I learned that I can get sick and miss a week and get back, and it's okay. Like
Mhm.
it's, you know, so you just keep going. Like
Yeah.
Dory, you just keep swimming.
Yes, just keep swimming. It's so true, and I love that you talk about, like, it's more than the moment, because so many of us get caught up on kind of, like, pushing through the next training day, the next training day, the next training day, and you forget about the training day that you're in or the moment that you're in, the mile that you're in, and we just get fixated on this fancy goal, but before you know it, that goal's over, and then what do you do next? Majority of
Yeah.
us continue to train, and there's a new goal out there or something else, but staying present and staying within each and every mile is very, very important.
Yeah, because when the race was over, and I was on a high for a couple days, but then I went to, I guess it was that next weekend. I went to a club run because we've got a great community club here, and I was pushing my friend's baby for the walk part while they were all running because I just wanted to move my legs. And I said to the run coach in the club, I told her, I was like, it's kind of weird, but I almost it's like a weird letdown now. Like
Mm.
almost anticlimactic, like in the moment it was, yeah, I did this. Like, I can't believe it. Like, wow, all that kind of stuff. And now I'm just like, even though I know I have goals set for the future after that, and I kind of come down from everything, I'm like, it's just, at the end of the day, it's still just me doing
Mhm.
my thing. Like,
Mhm.
I'm not this superhero. I just did something really cool, but like now it's just another Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday kind of thing, So that was it was kind of weird to like for that to have that feeling, because I think I expected that. I don't know if I expected that high to just run longer, or I don't know. I just had no idea what to expect. So
Oh yeah. And it is such a weird feeling, especially like you did something so crazy. You are a superhero, by the way. Like you 100% are. And then, you just kind of settle back in quote unquote normal life and you're just like, wow, nothing's changed.
yeah,
You expect like, I don't know, like a next level up, like you level up in life.
yeah, yeah,
And you definitely do. But at the same time, like life goes back to normal. You go back to
yes,
your normal training schedule. And it can be very, very hard to handle.
yeah,
But it makes you look back and think like, hey, I need to really just enjoy every mile and every moment that I'm in. You mentioned being in a run club and enjoying those times that you have with the friends out there, whether that be, doing some intervals with them or pushing a baby in a stroller. So it's taking each moment and enjoying it. And then also realizing like you are training for something and you have something to look forward to and to use and push you to be stronger and more resilient and all of that within training, but also know, the races aren't everything. And
yeah,
I think that's really hard for us because we all like, it's a race. It's a race. We got to plan the next one. We got to do something crazy. We got to do this. And it is nice. Don't get me wrong. I will never change it. But we always need to remember like the training is what really matters. And I know I stress this a lot. But if you have a race that you don't really care about, how are you going to train for that? Unless you literally love training, which I would say some of us do and some of us don't. But it's hard to continue to push every single day when you don't have a race that you're like really determined to do, or have a good why and why you're training and why you're doing these crazy distances.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, my husband asked all the time. He was like, why do you do this? What do you like? All that kind of stuff. Because now I'm ready. I have the next one on the horizon. Registered and ready and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I've got little ones in between, but like the next big goal. And I'm like, I just want to see how far I can go. I don't
Mhm.
know where it'll stop, but like I want to just keep. From the very beginning, I started with a 5K, and I've just been working my way up, and I just want to see where it can go.
Heck yeah. And speaking of, what is next for you?
So I've got a couple just fun runs in December, some holiday stuff.
Very cool.
And then I'm just base training right now. I've gone back to like being in a heavy lifting
Very cool.
phase, which is good, because I admit I didn't realize how much I had missed that. Like just
Mhm.
really, lifting the heavy stuff, because it's just I love it.
Mhm.
And it just feels good.
Yes.
And when and the training when the volume got up so high, I really just had to back that down.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's been fun to do that. I did a speed workout today, which I didn't do in my first training block because it was all just about getting the volume. So
Mhm.
that was kind of fun to go out there and try something new. So I have a couple what I would call tune-up races, some 25Ks, a 9 hour and an 8 hour in
Mhm.
the February and March. I don't know that I'll run the full times for that, but just, having the experience out there on the race course to just try food, try gear, all that kind of stuff. And May 30th is Rabid Raccoon 100K.
Very exciting.
So I think they have like every distance all the way up to 100 miler. It's outside of Pittsburgh and Beaver Falls. Really cool. It's a Trail Sister approved. And they have this policy where every woman that registers, whatever distance it is you register, you can gift that same distance to another woman, because they
Mm.
want to get at least 50% on the start line women.
Mhm.
So it was gifted to me.
Very.
So I signed up. There's a bunch of us from the club that are doing it. I've got some pacers and crew lined up.
Heck yeah.
Because I've been told you really want that on a
Yep.
on 100K. So it's a 15-mile loop course, but it's a super generous cutoff. So they've got the big expo on Friday. It starts at 8 o'clock Saturday morning and doesn't cut off until 4 p.m. on Sunday, because that's the cutoff for the 100-miler. So yeah, so it's a super generous cutoff. Aid stations are really cool. They're like inside in these gyms, like a gymnasium. Yeah, and there's everything I've researched on it looks like a really fun, cool, hard, like 8 to 9,000 elevation over 100K. So it won't be easy, but you know,
Yeah, we don't sign up for these for them to be easy.
no,
Come on.
no.
Very
So
exciting.
yeah, so I'm excited to push for that. So just kind of looking at different group training plans and stuff like that. I use list method for my 50K, but I think I want something a little bit more kind of in between a running platform and one-on-one coaching. So I reached out to Joe to look at his group. I do weekly calls with Steph for the strength training, and I just really like that personal touch, to be able to ask things, and other people, even if it's not the coaches, just other people to bounce ideas and stuff off on. So I really like that he has that to offer. So just going to spend December looking at all of that. I know like a lot of them say I should probably be starting in 2 weeks, but I feel like with the base that I have, starting the beginning of January, I'll be okay. I'm getting out there and doing 2-hour runs on the weekend, so I feel like it'll be fine. So I'll get started over the Christmas holidays and when there's no school.
Yeah, I was gonna say enjoy the holidays, and
Yeah.
if you're built or if you are consistently training, like you have that base build,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you're gonna pop back in, and you're lifting heavy right now. I'm always gonna encourage females to lift
Yeah.
heavy, so
Yeah.
that is amazing. I love that, and very excited for you to go tackle your next ultra. So now the crazy questions come, right? So have you been asked if you're crazy or if you're losing it
Yeah.
because you're doing longer distances?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get a lot of why.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of, so I've got this kid I go to the local high school and mentor, because I had taught him in middle school, and he's like, what do you think about Miss Houpt? I'm like, well, I mean, sometimes I don't think at all, or if I do, like I don't realize it's just thoughts. I don't really realize it. I listen to music, I listen to podcasts, listen to audiobooks. I run sometimes with people, sometimes alone, which drives my husband just crazy that I'm out on the trails alone. But, I've fallen a couple times, but I've gotten back up. I'm like, I'm probably safer out on the trail than anywhere else.
Yeah.
But I make sure, like he knows my location and what I'm wearing, all that kind of stuff. But in the winter, I run with a local run group. A run store has a training group that goes out. And
Very
so
cool.
I'll run with them on the weekends. And my weekday runs are usually 4:30 a.m. So they're on the road. Just because I got to get it done before school. I'm a person that's got to do it in the morning, or it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I hate the treadmill. I'll run in snow. I'll run in rain. I'll run on ice. Is really hard to get me on a treadmill.
I used to be the same. Now I can easily run on treadmill. So
yeah. I've got a friend that I think she did like 20 miles or something on it. I'm like, you deserve a medal for that, because I struggle with 2.
Oh yeah. A treadmill is a whole different animal when it comes to running. Definitely. Yeah. But that's super cool. And you'll hear so many more comments. I'm sure you know that. But my next question is you'd kind of mentioned this, but like you're, wondering what you can do and seeing like what you can do. I hear that from so many people that get in this running world. I think it's amazing. In your mind, what would be kind of where you think you'll stop? Like, do you foresee yourself doing 100, 100?
Yeah, I could see going out for 100. I don't know how much past that, only because I'd have to look at like the time that I can spend training. right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, I think that would probably be my stopping point more than anything, was can I devote the time to training?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd have to look at like what those things look like. It's kind of weird because, when you look at the jumps, everything is like doubled, right? You know, so when I think about going, I did the 50K and I'm going to go do 100K. I guess some people maybe do a 50 miler, but I'm like, it's just 12 more miles. And that's where I get the looks where I'm
Yeah,
like,
yes.
oh, it's just 10 miles. And they're like, what? Or I'm like, it's just 5 more. It's just 20 more. Like,
Yeah.
because it just, at that point, it just doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
um, so, and I look at the 100 miler, it seems like, I'm sure there's things that are in between, but it seems like the next jump is 200. And I'm like, that just, it's not going out and doing the 200. I think would be a little worried about like sleeping stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like how does that work? But just, how much time do I have to take away from my life
Mm-hmm.
to train for it?
Yeah.
So,
It's like a whole part-time job for a 200-mile training.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I will say there are 125s. You have to look into them.
Okay.
And like I know it's Sedona 125. It's Cocodona's like smaller race, and it has
Okay.
a gracious cutoff. I have a 65-year-old athlete. He's great, Jim. I had him on the podcast, but he's run Sedona 125.
Yeah.
And he's an amazing athlete. I give him crap all the time, but he truly is really, really strong. And I love that about, and you seem very, very similar on that aspect. Like you're not letting age defer you or deter
Yeah.
you. Like
Yeah.
you want to do the dang thing, even though, quote unquote, you might be older than some people. That doesn't matter. You
Yep.
still have it and that's awesome. And I love that you're wanting to do more and get out there. But 100%, I think you're being super responsible in the sense of looking at it and saying like, do I have the time? Because it is a lot of time. It's a lot of time from the family. I know
Yeah.
your son is still young and you got to be there for that. Maybe in a few more years.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll probably keep it pretty low key next year when he's a senior, just because there's so much with that. And then once he goes off to college, it's kind of like, we'll see. I think what I want to do even more than the distances is that I'd like to go to places to run.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, we got married out in Utah. I love it out. I love the desert. So like that's something I want to do. Like, would it be the Moab 240? I don't know.
Hey.
I know Bryce, I think, has a 100 miler. That's where we got married. I love that park. So like I want to go out west and run,
Mhm.
just because I love the area. So I think it'll be more, if I don't keep pushing for the distance, then I'll look at the whatever distance I'm comfortable with and do location.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
yeah.
And I know you kind of mentioned it, but literally you have so many places you can go. And it's a
Oh yeah.
nice like, hey, let's vacation and I'm gonna run a race, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I brought that up, and I've gotten I've gotten the stink eye.
Oh
But
yeah.
I'm thinking, like maybe once it's just him and I, like he can go off and do his thing or whatever. It's just 2 days I'll be out there running.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so amazing. So, before I let you go, thank you so much for being on the podcast and sharing your story. It's an amazing one. What a just hardworking, driven woman that lifts. I love it.
Thank
But
you.
before I let you go, a question that I always like, sometimes I ask, sometimes I don't ask. I feel like I need to ask you because you are newer to this, newer to the ultra world. But you've mentioned how much you love the ultra world, which is awesome. I do as well. That's probably the main reason I got so stuck in this and just have fallen in love and dove right in. But what does the word tribe mean to you within the running world?
Um, I mean, I think I'd have to say family, community,
Mm.
because I've been embraced by the running community when I was afraid of it, right? So
Mhm.
like, I look at the run clubs and everybody's faster, everybody's younger, and they're not, but like we have a tunnel vision, I think, when we're new to something, and we only see what we want to see, and all I saw were, younger, faster runners. But everybody's just like, they're just so welcoming, and I don't feel like I'm a nuisance or, anything like that when I'm running the back of the pack or whatever. And so I think it's just that sense of welcoming.
Yeah, I love it, and I couldn't agree more. And I do have to say, I think I know I felt this way when I first got into ultra running too. Is like I was so worried about asking people questions or like reaching out for help, and that is like now that I know, like, was the dumbest thing to ever think and
Yeah.
worried about because I reach out to people all the time. People reach out to me all the time.
Yep.
Like people I've never met, people I've only seen like a like or two or, and I'm just like, hey, like, what happened here? How'd that happen? Or what'd you do then? How'd that happen? And they'll tell you, like, they want you to know, they'll want you to try it. And it's just super, super cool. And everyone is so warm and welcoming. And it's just an
Yeah.
amazing community to be
It's
around.
such a huge world out there, but then with social media and things like that, it's also just such a small interconnected. Like when I listen to all these podcasts, I'm like, wait a second, they're all talking about each other, and like, so it goes back to like that whole tribe thing. Where like it's this web of interconnectedness that I feel like I could go somewhere and strike up a conversation, and instantly, like we've got those 6 degrees to whatever.
Yes, 100%. It's so true, and the community is amazing, and it's growing. Maybe a bit too fast, which everyone's a little worried about. But I
Yeah,
say bring them on, and as long as they're nice, they're more than welcome to come in.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you again so much for being on the
Thank
podcast.
you. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Of
So
course.
love your show.
Thank you, thank you. And now you're going to be on it. Everyone's going to be inspired and encouraged to run and go these crazy distances like all of
Awesome.
us. Awesome. Well, thank you again.
Thanks.